Good morning and welcome to Begin in the Word. Our text today comes from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10 through 31. However, we will only read the sections that are highlighted on our screen. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. The next phrase, her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. And the last phrase, her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. We're working through Proverbs chapter 31. We have explained that this text is an oracle, a teaching given from King Lemuel's mother, and she is instructing him in the ways of life. In the first section, verse 1 through 9, she told him to avoid destructive women and to avoid strong drink, and that those things did not lead to the result of him being a good king. And now, in chapter 31, verse 10 through 31, she tells him what kind of woman he should look for, as opposed to the destructive woman she mentioned in the first 9 verses. Now she's telling him the kind of woman that will make him a better man. We read this text quite often to help us understand what a virtuous woman is, and well, we should do that. However, we should not lose sight of the fact that this is advice from a mother to her son regarding the kind of woman that will make him a better man. We continuously point out that the book of Proverbs serves the purpose of giving insight and wisdom to the law, and never is this so much more the case than it is in this text. Genesis chapter 2:24, God established as a part of the created order when he said, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Inferred in that statement are a million things, but one of them certainly that's inferred in this statement, this command that God gave, is that a man and a woman, when they join together in the way that God has described, that they would not just become one flesh, but would become one flesh in all that means. Mutually beneficial to one another, helpful to each other. They make each other better. And so there are so many things that could be said about that. In the book of Proverbs here, in this oracle that King Lemuel's mother gives to him, gives detail on that concept. This is how men and women make each other better as husband and wife. It's a proverbial teaching. And so it is a way to look at all the sort of individual commands that we learn from the Old Covenant, begin to connect those dots, and see structure in the law and how we should obey it. The two poetic truths about this text we will remind ourselves every day. First of all, it is based on the Jewish alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet. Each phrase begins with a progressive letter of the alphabet. And today we're looking at phrases that begin with the second letter of the alphabet, further in the middle of the alphabet, and then finally near the end of the alphabet. We will not think of this in great detail. However, it is important to notice that the way that Lemuel's mother gave this teaching was a way that would make it easy to remember. It's sort of the ABCs of the kind of woman you want to pursue, King Lemuel. This is the ABCs, if you will, of the virtuous woman. The second thing that we'll note each day as we work through this is that this teaching from Lemuel's mother to King Lemuel is a chiastic, and that is that it's reflective. The first statement is reflected near the end. We think of, what we covered in yesterday's teaching, the high value of a good wife, and then it's reflected again at the end of the proverb. And then the second phrase that we will look at, the one we're looking at today, we call phrase B, is reflected near the end of the proverb, and so on, so that it creates this, if you will, pyramid coming to the middle as these phrases work to the middle. And anytime you see a chiastic, what that's telling you is that there is a point, a larger point than just any one phrase. That all of these phrases are true and helpful, but they all point to a central truth that the teacher has in mind. And never so much is more the case as it is in this proverb. King Lemuel, his mother, is teaching him how to find a woman that will cause him to be a better man. And it's described here as public respect, for a man, and think of that as a man that has achieved the highest level of, accomplishment in his life. That's what she's trying to help him see, that you'll need a woman in your life in order to do that. And men, think of it this way: you cannot be the best version of yourself without the help of a good woman. So let's think about our phrases today. The first phrase: the heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. The heart of her husband trusts in her. This is an emotional thing. Lemuel's mother is telling him that when you find the right woman, you will be able to emotionally trust in her, to be at ease with her, to not worry about her, that you'll be able to trust in her. And so there's two sides of this. First, Lemuel, you need to find a woman that you can have that kind of trust in. But secondly, you need to learn to trust your wife. Men, if you're married to a good woman and you don't trust her, that's a problem. Her virtue has earned the right to be trusted, and you should trust in her. You should emotionally invest yourself in her. That's the only way that she will become the blessing to you that you need her to be. The second phrase: and he will have no lack of gain. The concept here is that this woman that Lemuel's mother is telling him to look for is the kind of woman that will help him be financially successful in his life. He will have no lack of gain. When I was a young man, there was a phrase that I don't hear anymore, maybe for good reason. And we talk about a woman that was not a good woman, a woman that was not a good wife, and they would say of her that she carries it out the back door faster than he can carry it in the front door. The idea in that phrase is, while it may be somewhat coarse, it is true that a wife that is not financially responsible creates all kinds of problems in the home and all kinds of problems for her husband. A wife that is financially responsible, however, is the secret to making the home successful regarding the finances. And when a man finds a woman that is this way, it will cause him to achieve that kind of success, that kind of standing in his life, that he will have no lack of gain. Because in the end, men, you know this to be true. She is the one that manages the affairs of the home. She is the one that makes it work or not work. The next phrase: she does him good and not harm all the days of her life. King Lemuel's mother is telling him that the right kind of woman will be a help to you. She will make you a better man. She will make you successful. Now, that's not always a pleasant thing, men. Sometimes the things we need are not the things that are always the most fun or the most pleasant. Sometimes we need somebody to, if you will, metaphorically, knock our heads a little bit and tell us what it is we need to be doing. The right woman is the woman that does that. And in so doing, she does you good and not harm. If you're married to a good woman and there are days where it feels like she's being difficult to live with, it may be that what she's doing is exactly what you needed. We have before us photographs of women from the last century and the century before. These are women that, from my family, that I never knew. However, I knew people that spoke of them. These women were beloved in the family. And they were beloved for these very reasons. They were women that their husbands could trust no matter what. They were women that were very frugal in how they managed their homes. They were women that even sometimes it was difficult and made times sort of challenging, they did what helped the family. And that's what King Lemuel's mother is telling him to look for. Now, the central phrase in this proverb, the point of this proverb, the point of the chiastic, is that her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders. Lemuel's mother is telling him This is the kind of woman you'll need if you're going to be successful, if you're going to be honored in life. Now, the latter phrase of the chiastic is similar. It says, her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Think about how here in the West, we have come to define what it means to be a successful woman. And in many ways, our Western culture has accurately pointed out what a successful woman looks like. In some ways, it is not consistent with Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31 tells us the way to define success for this woman that is being described by King Lemuel's mother is that she conducts her affairs in such a way, she carries herself in such a way so that she is praised by her children. That's the first measure of success. And success is one of those things that must be measurable. Men, when you look for a woman who will conduct herself in such a way that her children will praise her, that they'll hold her in high regard, that she may be tough, but they know who she is and they praise her. And then the second is similar, that she is praised by her husband. Her husband also praises her. That's the definition of success. Many women do excellently. Here in our Western culture, many women accomplish many great things. But the greatest thing, the greatest success that a woman can have in her life is to be praised by her children and to be praised by her husband. King Lemuel, your mother is telling you, find a woman that conducts herself in that way. The second side of this is also true. Children, if you have a good mother, praise her, honor her, lift her up. We're coming up on Mother's Day. Don't forget, honor her as your mother. Praise her. Husbands, you are married to a good woman, and she's a woman that makes you a better man. Don't forget to praise her. Speak about her, how strong she is, what it is she accomplishes for you. It is the highest degree of success that can be accomplished in this life for a husband. The things that you accomplish because you are married to a great woman, and for a woman, the way that you bless your family. There is no way to surpass that kind of success, Lemuel's mother tells us. So what's our takeaway? A good husband trusts a good wife. Husbands, trust your wives. Financial success in the home is found in the wife. Ladies, if you're not careful with the family's finances, your family will never be successful. And finally, success is measured by family strength. The children, the husband, the wives, how they praise and honor one another. Thanks for joining us today on Begin in the Word. I hope as you have begun today in the Word of God, you will live out today in the Word of God.